The 2025 Genesis GV70 Electric. Let's first talk about what's new for 2025, and as always with my videos, I like to share with my audience resources and ways on how they can save money in this ridiculous car market, because most other content creators, they're busy complaining about the MSRPs and the cost of the battery pack. Well, I'm going to show you how you can take 20 grand off the MSRP of not just this GV70, but with most new electric vehicles. And the battery pack, well, that's quick to address. New cars have new car warranties. Like, you're covered for 8 to 10 years on the battery pack with pretty much every auto manufacturer. So as long as you're not trying to hold on to these things like a family heirloom, you'll be fine. Especially when you lease, because leasing is really when you can take advantage of all the discounts available on a new electric car. But more on that towards the end. Let's talk about these changes first. For 2025, we now have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, finally, and we also get Genesis connected services. And the only other change is that the Macula gray paint job is no longer available. And I guess one more thing, they went up on their MSRP by about $500 compared to 2024. The base advanced all-wheel drive is going to start at $66,950, and the Prestige all-wheel drive is going to be $73,750. But be sure to add back in destination, which is $1,350. So clearly not a lot of changes, but before I talk about the savings, let's just quickly cover my thoughts on the EV GV70, because I recently just got done driving a lot of Mercedes EV vehicles and they don't hold a candle to this GV70. It's not even close. The Mercedes electric cars, they don't necessarily do anything wrong. Like, for instance, an EQB 300, it's going to be quiet, it's going to be comfortable, it absorbs bumps really well, especially for its size. So they don't technically do anything wrong, but at the same time, they don't feel special to drive either. Whereas a GV70, the electric one, it feels like you're operating a six-figure automobile, like a flagship luxury car. That's what it feels like to drive the EV GV70. It really has this sense of heft as it rolls down the road. So it goes beyond just being a quiet and comfortable machine. There's a certain level of serenity that the Genesis has to offer. In fact, it drives almost identical to the G90 sedan, actually, and that's huge praise. Like the G90, the Mercedes S-Class, things of that nature. That's what the GV70 is like to drive. So if you've experienced those cars, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's part of the reason why I'm so high on this SUV. Granted, it's not perfect. The range is pretty pathetic at 236 miles. The rear seating space, the trunk, all of that is average. It's not that spacious, but as a thing to sit in and to drive, it's really something to behold. And let me quickly just talk about the Prestige model as well, because it does cost $6,800 more than the Advanced. So many people are going to wonder if that's worth it or not. Well, personally, if you have the means, I do think it's worth it, because the features that a fully loaded Genesis vehicle has to offer, it's not just a gimmick. It really adds to your quality of life when you're living with the vehicle on a day-to-day basis. The features are plentiful. Like, there's a whole list of things that come with the $6,800 Prestige package, and all the features just work amazing. Like, for instance, you get the heated and ventilated front seats, heated seats in the back. A lot of people ask me which vehicle has the best cooled seats. Genesis is one of them. So that's the thing. When you get these features, they work amazing. I remember I was in a Acura TLX Type S. The cooled seats were not cooling anything. But Genesis, they work amazing. You have that ergo seat cushioning function. It's almost like a massage feature. That feels nice. The Napa leather seats, the suede headliner, all of these things really elevate this car to once again feel like a six-figure product. And the features, I mean, they just keep going on and on, but one of the main ones is going to be that Lexicon audio system. Truly one of the best that you can get. There are some manufacturers that charge you $6,000 just to get the upgraded audio. Here with Genesis, you're getting the audio system plus a whole list of other stuff. So yes, if you have the money, I would say that the Prestige fully loaded GV70 is worth it. All right, now finally, here's how you can save with these seemingly overpriced electric cars. In the description box of this video, I'm gonna have a free leasing calculator provided to you by AutoCompanion. This calculator is great because leasing programs, they change every month, and this calculator will update every month, and it shows you the residual values, the interest rate of the lease, which is very difficult to find, but this calculator will show it to you, and it will show you the incentives that you can qualify for in your local zip code. And this is key because I ran some numbers on the 2024 GV70, and on a 3-year lease, there's a $17,000 lease cash available to you. And I was on the Lease Hacker forum and I saw a broker by the name of Aranchi, who I am not affiliated with, but he was offering like 2% off MSRP, which that's pretty weak. I don't like that, especially on an electric vehicle. I want to get a larger dealer discount than that, but whatever. I just put in 3% when I ran these numbers, and that's about $2,000 off, and that $2,000 stacks on top of the lease cash. So you're effectively getting like $19,000 off the MSRP. Now that's for the advanced model. It's going to lease for about $560 a month, and that includes taxes, dealer fees, all of that stuff. So that's what I'm saying. This calculator is really accurate, and the information that you get from this is incredible, because whether you're leasing, financing, paying cash, you want to know what the incentives are so you can negotiate the best deal possible, and that way you can compare and contrast between paying cash, financing, or leasing. I mean, in the case of this GV70 and with most electric vehicles, to get those substantial discounts, you do have to lease it. Like that $17,000, that's in lease cash. And this is not just special to Genesis. Pretty much every EV is like this. Like most of the Mercedes electric cars, they also get about $20,000 off when you factor in dealer discount and incentives. Same thing with Cadillac, Toyota, Lexus, Stellantis, etc. They're all pretty much the same. In May of 2024, people were leasing the Toyota BZ4X for $200 a month. That's right. That's what's possible in this market with these electric cars, because nobody wants them and nobody is really savvy enough to research this information and to find out that discounts like this exist and the fact that deals like this exist. I think on the new Cadillac electric car, some people managed to lease that for $400 or $500 a month. Same thing with the Mercedes EQB. You can lease that for about $400 a month. The Polestar, the Nissan Ariya. There's a lot of EVs out there that qualify for amazing discounts and low lease payments. Now, AutoCompanion's calculator, it did not show the Prestige model numbers, so I just put in a higher MSRP, and that leases for about $660 a month, once again, with all the taxes and fees. So a Prestige GV70 is about $100 more per month than the Advanced. It simply comes down to your budget and whether you own a business or not, and you can take advantage of tax write-offs, etc. You know, those are all things you have to talk to an accountant about. I'm just here to share with you the resource and my thoughts and opinions on the vehicles that I test. Then you can take the information and do as you please with it. But hopefully this knowledge, this information, and these resources were of value to you, and I hope it's been a breath of fresh air compared to most other content creators who simply complain about MSRPs and, you know, these goofy battery pack prices. Like, none of those things really matter, and I'm here to just show you the solutions instead and to show you what's possible. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't like electric vehicles at all. I'm really hesitant to get one despite how cheap they are. Heck, even the Lucid Air sedan, people were leasing that for $400 a month, and that's great. But even with these tempting lease deals, I still personally do not own an electric vehicle. But if budget was tight, I would rather lease like a new Toyota BZ4X for $200 a month than going out and purchasing like some used clapped out car at 20% interest with no warranty and with high mileage. Like, I would rather avoid that game and just lease a new electric car if the budget was tight. So again, that's why I'm showing you this information, just so you can see what's possible and so you can do as you please with the information. So talk to your accountant, your lawyers, your mother, your father, your whoever before signing a lease, and definitely ask your finance manager the terms and conditions of the lease, because one other thing I noticed is when you sign an EV lease, sometimes you're not able to buy out the lease. Like, you simply have to turn in the keys. So it's literally like you're renting the vehicle. I know Tesla is that way. I'm not sure how Genesis is, but regardless, that's sort of fine by me because I don't want to hang on to these vehicles. But the only bad thing is if you somehow miraculously end up with positive equity at the end of your lease, I don't think you're able to capitalize on that. Like, you can't just trade in the vehicle at CarMax or somewhere else. You genuinely do have to turn back in the keys to the dealership. So something else to keep in mind. But anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. If you have any more comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down below. But thank you so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.